Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Now, today's first story does come from a throwaway account. It's one that I believe that we have covered in the past, but now has a final update attached to it as well. We'll cover all the usual parts of the story, and if you want to skip parts, timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. It's titled, My Male 50, Wife Female 48 Abandoned Me 2 months ago to find herself. My wife Mary's family has a history of dementia, developing memory issues in their mid to late 50s. Her mum, grandmother, and several other relatives on her mum's side have developed dementia. Her mum lived with us for 4 years until earlier this year. Father is dead. Our kids are independent and out of the house. Oldest is in her last semester of college and the younger enlisted. The last 4 years were tough on us. Our kids. Daughter moved for college but moved back for a bit during COVID. And our marriage. Living with someone with dementia is brutal. We talked a lot the last year about taking the remaining college funds, our regular savings, sell or rent the house. We were ready to downsize anyway, quit our jobs and travel for a year or until the money runs out. We just had to wait for our mum to move into a home. I understand their anxiety about developing dementia, and I was burned out. We lived through COVID working remote, a wife working remote, a college and high school students taking remote classes, and a mother-in-law with dementia, and see how you hold up. Space finally opened up and we're able to move our mum into a care facility. I finally thought I had a chance to breathe. When we moved Mary's mum out, Mary's mental health took a huge downward spiral. I went from caring for her mum to caring for her. She felt guilty about putting her mum in a home and had lots of anxiety about developing dementia. Our plan was to start our traveling summer 2024. 2 months ago, I get home and she's left a note. My friend calls it Exhibit A. Basically, she was going on our trip without me. She'd quit her job, took most of the savings, and wasn't sure when she'd be back. Maybe a year, maybe sooner. She knew I'd understand. Her location is turned off, and my calls go directly to voicemail. I text the kids a picture of the note. We have our own checking accounts for direct deposits of our paychecks, but we transfer most of it into a joint account to pay the household bills and savings. We both had access to main savings account. We have joint credit cards we use for household expenses. The 2 cars and mortgage are joint. We both have our own small savings account, our own retirement accounts, equally funded, and our own credit cards for gifts and fun things. I closed all joint cards and accounts. I waited for a month to see if she'd come back, hopefully before she spent our savings. After receiving only one text the first month, I went to a lawyer. She basically said there was very little to do right now, other than change the beneficiaries of my retirement accounts and life insurance. Yay, my wife gets nothing if I die alone while she's having our adventures. It was only a month and there was no way to serve her papers. My lawyer advised me to keep paying the mortgage and the cars. The cost of trying to get a judge to approve the sale of joint assets was more than making payments. I didn't want to ruin my credit by letting one of our cars get repossessed, but I can't sell it because she's on the title. I get random texts and she sporadically posts on Instagram. Of course, she has comments turned off. I want to block her so bad, but my lawyer advised me that it's better to maintain a communication channel that's not through our kids. Her last post was from Hawaii. She put in the comments how great a husband I was for letting her take this trip. I'm barely making it, paying 2 cars, a mortgage, household bills, insurance, hoping there are no emergencies because I have no savings, and she's enjoying our trip. Fuck her. I'm so pissed at her. I helped her take care of her mum for 4 years, and her when she fell apart after her mum moved into a memory care home, and she returns the favor by abandoning me. I'll never get to take this trip and have to put off retirement. My only solace is the kids are pissed at her, but they'll probably forgive her eventually. Double F her. I'm no fool. She's hooking up with guys. She looks good. She has zero problem getting men. I texted her and asked if she was sleeping around. A week later, she responded that she wasn't. Sure, with an eye roll emoji. So I'm drinking alone on a Friday night and she's somewhere probably on a beach enjoying life. Triple F her. Edit 2. My lawyer has given me a bunch of advice and options. It was just way more than I could possibly include in this post. I could definitely push the issue harder, and I might need to at some point, but all of that work is very expensive. Finding her, serving her, getting a judge to sign off. That's not cheap. I'm following up soon, and I plan on talking about the savings and my finances. Until I paid all the bills and realized how little was left did it hit me that I had to worry about money. And my first initial thoughts after reading this is, what are the daughters thinking? What's the rest of the family thinking? You know, your immediate family seeing this situation going down. Do they know all the full details about this? And is she really just expecting to go away and then come back and everything's fine after she's basically used all your savings? But Opie did give some additional bits of information, so on the situation and regarding the family knows. Opie says, everyone that matters knows. My daughter has been talking to her aunt, my wife's youngest sister, a lot. I was worried about my daughter, but it was tough to be there for her at the beginning. Fortunately, she's always had a good relationship with all of her aunts and uncles. This helped her to talk to people that really know her mother. My sister-in-law told her aunts and uncles and her brother. She invited us to Thanksgiving. There'll be tons of family from my wife's side, and they always take and post tons of pictures. My family and our shared friends know. I don't care about anyone else. King of Leprechauns says to OP saying, thanking you for letting her take this trip is basically her saying, when I get through living the single life, I'll be coming back to the comfort and security of married life. When she returns, I'd say, welcome home, here are your walking papers. OP says she 100% is under the delusion that she's coming back to a marriage. She's had a few conversations with our daughter and she's convinced I'll understand and forgive her. Naive Subject 65 says, tell your daughter to pass along the message that you're filing for divorce for abandonment and see if this gets you some traction. I don't generally like the idea of going through kids, but they need to have your back on this. Maybe even tell her that cut her off as well if she keeps doing this to you and the family. Maybe even start posting about how she's living a good life and letting your friends and family know what kind of pickle this has put you in. Everyone probably assumes you're on board if you're not purposely driving the true narrative. Opie responds saying she only hears what she wants. I asked her to send me an address to serve her papers. She only told me that she'll work it out when she comes home. The fuck we will. My daughter tells her all the pain she's causing, but she just says she only has 5 to 10 years left until she gets dementia. It's impossible to know if she'd even developed dementia, but shouldn't she be spending this time with her family? And Naive Subject replies that saying, yeah, you think she would. I still think that controlling the narrative online is necessary. There will be fallout resulting from the divorce. If you don't get out in front of this, informing people she actually knows, other than strangers on Reddit, she'll make herself to look like she's a victim of a deranged and bitter husband. I think you'll get the most mileage by applying pressure through friends and family in the court. I know court is expensive, but you're going to pay one way or the other. You might as well take the hit now. Also, I'd bet a private investigator with good internet sleuthing skills could help you find her much faster than you think. She's been leaving a digital footprint since she's still posting and using her phone. It's amazing what you can find out about a person if you know how to look for the information. And I don't know if it's right or wrong, especially legally, but getting your side out there publicly to your social media, I think that might be the right thing to do as well. Like we've seen in many other stories about how a narrative gets pushed a certain way if you don't speak up. I don't usually agree with posting all your stuff on Facebook or whatever socials you use. But in this particular situation, when she's posting pictures of herself in Hawaii and, thank my husband for all this, for supporting me in this, when you're absolutely not. It's just that chance that it could backfire further down the line if you don't say something on it now, I guess. Again, I don't know if that's wise legally or not, but it certainly popped into my head. But the first update comes 2 weeks later and says, an update from my original post. I'm feeling much more positive now that the financial situation has become a little more manageable. Basically, I'm running up debt that will get paid off when I sell the house. Even with lawyer's fees, I have 6 to 8 more months before I have to worry about money, assuming there are no emergencies. My wife's friend gave me some good advice. Don't go from being a hero to a villain in your kids' eyes. How I talk and treat my wife will determine my future relationship with my kids. I don't give a damn about my wife, but I don't want to make her a sympathetic figure or drive them away from both of us. I followed up with a lawyer. Basically, she said we're going to have her pay back the savings she took through a reduction in her share of the assets. Any division of assets will include the savings she took. She'll also have to repay the money I spent maintaining the household while she was gone. There's plenty of equity in her share of the house, and her retirement plans to cover that. She said that our finances are so intertwined after nearly 25 years of marriage. My wife is going to get some share of the assets. Best case is she agrees to the terms of the divorce, and it's relatively cheap and quick. Otherwise, it gets complicated and expensive. She gave me a lot of options on how much I can expect to spend, so I decided to just mostly wait. I got a couple of credit cards with promo rates for purchases and transfers that gives me breathing room and I can conserve cash. I'll just pay them off when I sell the house. Now that my financial situation is less stressful, I'm actually enjoying her being gone. I'm free to do whatever I want, whenever. I don't have to cook or clean or take care of anyone. The house is quiet for the first time I can remember. I loved my wife, but her mental health weighed down on our marriage. On balance, it was worth it until now. The first month or so I expected her to be there whenever I'd get home. When someone was at the door, or if I heard noises, I'd think it was her. I'd check the doorbell cam obsessively. I'm not looking forward to her returning. It has to happen, but when she comes back I have to deal with her, the divorce, getting the house ready to sell, dividing all our stuff, finding a new place to live. I'm hoping she'll stay away until after New Year's, but my daughter said she thinks her mum will be home for Christmas, either to stay or visit. My lawyer will have papers ready to serve her. Hopefully she'll just agree to the terms and continue her travels. People had some great advice. Renting or selling the house. Not really feasible right now since I'd have to fix some things and get stuff ready to sell and rent. Since I need a place to live, the amount I net each month, rent, mortgage, rent on a new apartment, storage unit equals not worth it. My kids' rooms are still full of their stuff and I don't want to spend the time and effort to clear them out and put them in storage. Getting a HELOC, I'm not sure if you pronounce that as HELOC or you actually just use the letters, but it stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. This was great advice. I didn't realize I didn't need both people to get a loan. If I need more money, I can go this way. In the short term, the promo rates on the credit cards were cheaper and easier than getting a HELOC, serving my wife divorce papers or getting a divorce in absentia. This is something I might need to do eventually, but the cost in lawyer fees goes up exponentially in cases like this. I'm comfortable just waiting for now. Look at the phone bill to see where she's at and possibly going. I did look at her usage and did notice that she doesn't post on social media until she leaves a place. Like when she posted about Hawaii, she made a call that day that originated from Los Angeles. She posted about a cruise and I figured out the dates, trying to serve her at the port possibly, but it ended a couple of days before she posted. She tried adding international calling to her line, but I blocked it so she removed her phone from our account. She said comments on that post saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm infuriated on your behalf. The audacity of, my husband is so great for letting me take this trip. The petty in me hoped she'd be home for Thanksgiving because I want her world to explode." OP says, she's told her family she won't be home for Thanksgiving. Nobody told her my daughter and I are spending Thanksgiving with her family though. She can see the post of us having a good time without her. Careless Ostrich replies to that and says, "That's petty revenge that doesn't hurt anybody. I love to see it." There was a couple of miniature updates that were 2 and a bit months later after those posts and says, "Nothing much has changed. Went to the in-laws with my daughter for Thanksgiving. It went well. Everyone was nice and tried to apologize for their sister, cousin and niece. I told them it's not their responsibility. I just appreciated them taking us in. It meant a lot to my daughter to be there." Next edit, got a text from the wife that she'd be in town for Christmas. Lawyer said the papers are ready so she can be served. It's like an early Christmas gift. So OP's final update, which comes 3 months after the original post and says, "My wife texted me in the middle of December that she'd be home for Christmas. I told her that we, our daughter and I, would be at my brother's. She obviously wasn't welcome. I'd leave her car in the driveway and the fob in the backyard. She wasn't allowed in the house unless I was there. She didn't have the keys to get in. She spent Christmas with her sister. When we got back, I met with her. I decided not to be overly confrontational because I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of thinking I cared enough to be mad. She was taken aback about how detached I was. I could tell it bothered her that I didn't show her much emotion. I just wanted her to agree to a divorce. This is a summary of several different meetings, both with and without our daughter. She hasn't wanted to meet with her mum alone yet. I asked why she left without telling anyone. She said she didn't want to wait a year. She didn't want anyone talking her out of it. She didn't want to work anymore. She wanted to leave before her mental health got worse. I'm sure it was mostly because she didn't want me to stop her from taking the money. She knew I would take care of everything with the kids in the house when she left. We had decided to go summer of 2024 for a few reasons. Packing everything and getting the house ready to sell was going to be a lot of work. We wanted to make sure our daughter graduated college, got a job and was settled. We wanted to make sure we had money when we got back. We wouldn't have a house, cars or jobs, so we needed money because it could take months to find work and a place to live. We didn't want to have any worries or deal with a mess back home. At some point in our planning, she began questioning, to herself, not me, if she ever wanted to go back to our old life. She didn't want to work full-time or buy a house or stay in one place after we got back. She wasn't sure what she wanted, but she didn't think she would figure it out talking to me. I told her that's the reason we were taking the trip, to figure those things out together, to see what we wanted for the next part of our life. I asked her why she didn't want to get a divorce before she left. Then she wouldn't have had to do any of this behind our backs, and she would have had plenty of money without stealing our joint savings. She claimed she didn't want a divorce, that she wanted us to live whatever life she figured out. I told her that's not how marriages work. One person deciding for the other. In talking and texting our daughter, her family, my texts and voicemails, she realized I might not forgive her. She was right about that, so she might have to visualize a future without me. This is where I hoped that she would say some stupid shit like she was going to squander all her money living in a van and make travel vlogs, or met some guy that she needed to wire money to so they could open an ice cream shop in Alaska. Instead, she wants to be a digital nomad, working part-time, fully remote, and living in new places. She tried to convince me to go with her, but I'll never be able to trust her. Plus, I don't love her anymore. Traveling like that for a few years doesn't sound bad, but she doesn't have a job or any work lined up. She's not in her 20s, and that way of living will get old quick. No close friends, no family. I want her to make it work so she won't be here trying to get back into our lives. How are the kids doing? Our son wouldn't have seen us the entire time she was gone away. He only responds to her with very short texts. He told me she wanted to see him, but he said he was too busy and wouldn't be able to get away. He lives in the barrack, so it's an easy excuse to avoid her. My daughter stopped talking and texting her. She's pretty upset. Her worry turned to anger when she realized her mum wasn't having a mental breakdown but was just being selfish. If her mum was sticking around, they probably could work through it eventually. I just care that my daughter is happy, so whatever she decides, I'll support. 2. Did she spend all the money? About half. I think she realized she needed to figure it out before she completely ran out of money. 3. Did she sleep with anyone? I didn't ask because I didn't care. Asking would imply I wanted her back or it would matter. Even though I didn't ask, she claimed she didn't. Not sure if she's lying or not. She might be just saying that because she doesn't want the kids to have another reason to be mad at her. 4. Does she feel bad for what she put us through? She claims she does, and she wishes she had handled it differently. She said getting away and figuring herself out was best for her. I told her she was just being selfish. When she first left, we were worried something would happen to her, and we would never see her again. She's always been self-centered. I told her she's taken the easy route and letting everyone else handle the difficult parts. If she gets sick, kids will take care of her, goes broke, live with family, abandon everyone, they'll forgive her. She thinks her siblings and our children will let her live with them like we let her mum live with us. I'm sure when she visualizes her future, she sees our kids there. They might not be, and definitely not in the same way they were before. Despite how it might sound, I'm actually really happy with how it all turned out. Our divorce is far from final, but we've agreed on the big things. We'll sell the house, how to split the retirement and profit from the house, how to pay back the money she took, and what I spent maintaining the household. I got most of what I wanted from the settlement, and she'll soon be, mostly, out of my life. I won't have to pay alimony, and because she's choosing to make significantly less money than she was, I won't be forced to support her. That would have been a kick to the teeth. She isn't my responsibility anymore, and I won't have to care for her if she does get sick or goes broke. I figured I'd start dating again. I didn't realize a 50-year-old man with children out of the house, a good job, and in decent shape would be a catch. I'm not fighting women off with a stick, but I've had a lot more interest than I expected. It's been kind of nice meeting new women. I've worked out the numbers, and I'll be doing pretty well after everything is settled, and I only have to support myself. Not where I wanted to be. 50, getting divorced, and using Reddit as free therapy sessions. But I'm happier now than I've been in a while. I'm even planning a little vacation of my own. P.S. Thank you to everyone that has responded and reached out. It meant a lot. So a commenter said, Detective Sudden 281 says, I predict she'll be back when she starts having health problems or runs out of money. It only took her a year to burn through half of your life savings. She'll burn through whatever she gets from the divorce before 5 years are out. I know some actual digital nomads. All of them are highly skilled in some sought after tech field, are famous media personalities, or are sex workers. If your soon-to-be ex-wife isn't any of those, she'll soon run to ground somewhere. People this selfish can literally not conceive of a world where they're not the main character, and everyone drops whatever they are doing to help them. And another commenter says, Sir, you are a catch. For your information, don't date anyone under 30. Cheers to a new life. Opie responds saying, I just recently got everyone out of the house. I'm not dating anyone that has young kids or wants kids. Not that it would matter if they did. I took care of that a while back. And although it's just like an incredibly sad situation for Opie to have gone through all of that, just the mental load that must have had constantly thinking about how to deal with this situation, the legal stuff, the house, the money, what your future looks like. It must be just absolutely draining, and for your children as well. I hope they receive some help for what they're going through at the same time. And I'm glad that, Opie's believing in themselves, and it sounds like they're going to have, a pretty positive future. Obviously, it's going to take some time as always with these things, but, fair play to them. And there was people questioning about the wife's mental state in this, was it just selfish, narcissistic behavior, or was there something more mentally going on? I'm not saying dementia, obviously, but because it wasn't rational behavior. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.